Hi! When I woke up this morning, I sat straight up in bed, and the first thing I thought about was a chocolate chip cookie. Well, I couldn't help myself. All of a sudden, my mouth was drooling for a nice, plump, warm chocolate chip cookie loaded with those cute little chocolate chips. I raced down the stairs to the kitchen, frantically searching everywhere. In the fridge, in the stove, in the cupboard, even in the coffee pot. But there wasn't a cookie to be found. Not even a crumb. I just couldn't get that cookie out of my mind. I started shaking. I thought, oh my goodness, what's happening? So I sat down and started to think about what came over me. What made me act like a madman dashing around my kitchen, looking for something? Absolutely, I had no idea. Then I realized that I was having a craving. I would like to die for a kind of craving for a chocolate chip cookie, and I was almost crazed with the thought of not getting what I wanted. After calming myself down, I thought that cravings would be a great thing to talk about today. Well, let's face it, we all get the urge to eat a sweet or some other forbidden food. Cravings are an abnormal desire for food, but we have to learn how to deal with our cravings so that they don't lead us down the path of binging. So let's talk about how to deal with your cravings. Everybody in the whole world has cravings. For me, cravings started when I was a young kid and wasn't allowed to have certain foods. Sometimes the thought of not being allowed to eat certain food made me want them even more. I mean, if you tell a child, no, or you cannot eat candy, 9 out of 10 times they will sneak a piece behind your back. We started playing that type of game with ourselves. If we think we're not allowed something, we'll try to sneak it anyway. So my advice is that when you do have a craving, try to talk to yourself through it. You have to say to yourself, okay, I really want a piece of candy, but it's going to cost me some of my deal meal cards. So if you really want something, you still have to count your cards first. Remember, cravings aren't free. If you're craving a piece of candy, have a piece of candy. If you're craving an order of french fries, have an order of french fries. Just keep in mind that you still gotta pull your cards for cravings. Let me show you what I mean. You're having a craving for cookies, like I wanted. Well, here is a chocolate chip cookie. Now this craving will cost you 125 calories plus these cards. 1 bread card, 2 fat cards, that's really costly, and 2 sugar cards. There, now you can see what this cookie is going to cost you. Now you have to be very careful about cravings because a craving may cost you a couple hundred calories, and there's nothing wrong with that, because you could always walk it off. But you don't want a craving to turn into a binge. You know the old saying, a slur leads to a slice, leads to a slap, and a craving that's uncontrolled will definitely lead to a binge, and a binge is a bunch of cravings put together. I used to be a binger. It's difficult for me to admit that I don't usually like to share my binges with people, but here's what used to happen to me. I would binge on large gallons of ice cream, chocolate chip cookies, and caramel corn. Now that binge will cost me 8 to 10,000 calories. And I would have to walk from here to Puerto Rico to walk off that binge. So be careful. I don't want you to live in a new world where you can't have a craving for a little something. But don't let your craving lead to a pig out, which always leads to a binge. The other thing you have to realize is that if you want to keep on saying no to your cravings, they will explode it to a binge, and that's when you become totally out of control with food. There are a lot of people who binge, and one thing there are a lot of bingers do when they get upset is they throw it all up. And this is a big problem in America today. Don't do that. Go ahead and have your cookie. if you have to, just remember this. Remember portion control. And don't ever let your cravings turn into a binge.